Hamilton's Alternative. 1015.
Welcome to Steel City Music. I'm Gunnar, and on the line right now is Chris Poore from Frail State out of Hamilton, Ontario. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm feeling pretty good.
You feeling? And we've been doing the old email thing, talking back and forth. And last night you sent me this email going, I never really did an interview before. What do we do with this? And I started thinking, going, well, it's just like a chat, really. You know, so sometimes people get a little too intimidated when I'm asking them questions, and I'm totally not here to like intimidate you here. I'm here to talk about your music, and some of the stuff that I heard on it, I really like on Frail State.
Oh, thank you very much.
When did you put it out? This is it an EP or full album that you have it on Bandcamp right now? Right
now it's just an EP. It was supposed to be a full album, but I only had time for the EP, and it came out on March 12th, so it hasn't been out too long.
No, that's a recent release. How long did it take you to put this together?
Technically, I started back in July 2018, but it was kind of like a slow process at that point. I started really getting into it, though, probably around September. And so between September and February, I would just kind of throw in time to sessions, trying to record everything properly, trying to write everything properly, and making sure I was happy with it in the end.
Right, and with the with putting this all together. And you just said happy to the end. You're pretty happy with what you put out?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because like I've made music before in the past under a different name, and looking back on it, I wasn't too happy with it. So the fact that when I was finally finished this project, I could listen back to the 6 songs I had, I was actually like thrilled with what I had finally done. Well,
congratulations on getting this done. I had this conversation with my pal Les earlier, and we were discussing about artists that have to put themselves out there, and that when they do put a product out, they get a little skeptical on the reaction of what people, if they're hearing the same things that you envisioned, that sort of thing. Have you had any sort of like feedback on this EP at all?
I've had it kind of like varying here and there. Like I haven't heard too much feedback from it yet. I'm still in the process of kind of putting it out in the world.
Right.
So I've been on different like social media platforms and different like online radio platforms and everything like that, trying to get something out there. I've heard some generally good things so far, but other than that, like haven't heard too much.
Right. That's good though. You're starting to hear some positive feedback to it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in your bio, some of the stuff that you're talking about, what this project is all about. It's just you doing all of this, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Right. Do you find that easier just to do this by yourself, or like have you had experiences collaborating with other people?
I have experienced collaborating with other people in the past. And working by myself, I don't know, it's kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time. It's a blessing only because, like, it's your ideas and it's kind of unfiltered and you can do what you want with it, but then I kind of miss having the feedback of someone else. So it's sometimes I struggle with that.
Yeah, the self-doubt, that sort of thing, yeah.
Oh, and there was a lot of that in the recording process.
How did you, where did you do all the recording? Just at home, or did you go into a studio that you own?
Yeah, I do it all at home because I've been accumulating like equipment, hardware, software, like over the years, and I've eventually built just enough of a studio in my basement. It's small, it's nothing big, but just enough that I can get everything done properly. Yeah, and you insulated your basement with soundproofed a little bit. Do you live with people? Yeah, I do, but unfortunately I don't have enough money to do the full soundproofing, so I've had to do like the very thrift store method of using egg cartons. Right. Yeah, but, I mean, it helps, but it's not as good as like the actual soundproofing. I noticed that in some of the vocals, there are parts where you're screaming, and you've lowered the volume a little bit for it not to overtake whatever else that you're doing. I'm wondering if that is because you did it at home and you were like afraid to have, annoy people in the house. Like you couldn't really let go. Oh, actually, that might have been maybe been a little bit of awkward mixing because usually the vocal parts where I've had to get very loud, I would wait until nobody was home. Oh, yeah. And so that way I'd have my headphones on, and then I have the music playing very loud in the headphones, and so that way I could barely hear myself scream, so that way I can just go ahead and be as loud as I wanted to. Right. So it might have just come down to like some sort of awkward mixing thing, but it sounded good in my headphones, so that's kind of why it went out the way it did. Okay, so tell me about the song Fall Where They May. Fall Where They May was the first song I actually wrote for Frail State when I started back in July. It was more or less a process of me coming back into writing music again, but not really knowing what I wanted to do, so just a lot of playing around and trying to find a different sound and everything like that of things I was influenced by. And lyrically, it came around just kind of like one of those situations of looking through old journals type thing and just kind of like reflecting on how I felt at certain times.
Right. And that was so it was just like just your thoughts from over the past, that sort of thing, and you pieced the song together that way. It wasn't like just one idea.
Yeah, it wasn't just so much one idea because the entire EP is kind of connected in a way.
Okay, in what way is that?
The whole thing is supposed to be kind of like this reflective thing about my own personal battles with going through like depression and
Sure.
like heavy anxiety and just kind of like self-doubts and all that, like self-deprecation, going through some fairly tough times and everything like that. And so this whole EP kind of like reflects that in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was just the first song to kind of like catapult me into writing the rest of the EP.
So this was the kickoff then. This got your mojo going on trying to get everything together. On this
Yeah,
one.
it kind of gave me an idea of exactly what I wanted to have this EP be.
Okay, so why don't we just spin that right now? And
all right.
And here's Fall Where They May on Steel City Music.
Another day to push everything away. Another excuse to watch everything decay. Spread some more shit just to reel you in. Is this how the healing will begin? Shut your mouth and give me what I want. Or should I just stay here to hide? Quitting days moving to grind. This is the part where you get left behind. Fades the blood and bone, fade away. Leaves fall apart where they may. The lines are blurred and the foundation breaks. It's getting too damn easy just to fake. Everything around you bleeds into one. I'm the bullet in the gun. Fades the blood and bone, fade away. Keep your eyes closed and breathe slowly, just like a moment of clarity. Go ahead and let the world disappear. The moments of silence are just a pretty. Keep your eyes closed and breathe slowly, just like a moment of clarity. Go ahead and let the world disappear. The moments of silence are just a rarity. Keep your eyes closed. Breathe slowly. Just like a moment of clarity. Go ahead and let the world disappear. Moments of silence are just a rarity.
Tell me about the song Here Again.
Here Again came later in the process because it was one I struggled with for a while about how I wanted it to sound. But it was more or less the same thing, just kind of like going through the reflective and like different stages of like how I felt in that kind of whole personal like mental state battle. But I knew I wanted this one to be particularly heavier. I wanted it to be a little more angrier just because like that's kind of what the lyrics are supposed to represent in the first place.
Yeah.
And this one was kind of like a step up for me because like I was trying to use more like synth sounds and everything like that, and to like trying to really incorporate that rather than just relying on guitar and everything like that.
Here's Here Again on Steel City Music. is the next project for you after this? After you get everything this sent out and everything, and what are your next timelines to start recording again?
Well, before I start recording, I'm currently in the middle of fixing up a video for Fall Where They May. There's a music video coming out soon.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'm hoping by early July it'll be out.
Okay.
And as for recording, I've kind of already started the pre-production process of getting into the next EP. It's kind of like the second and final part to the first EP, so it's going to be one big connecting story in the end.
All right. Awesome, buddy. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to us, and best of luck in the future, and you're always welcome to come on the show.
Hey, thank you very much for having me.